They controlled her life for 13 years. Her money, her career, even her personal decisions. But one day, everything changed. The world knew Britney Spears as a global superstar. Millions of records sold, stadiums filled, a voice that defined an entire generation. But behind that success was a story very few people fully understood. Because this is not just a story about fame. This is a story about control. Britney Spears was born in 1981 in a small town in Louisiana. From a young age, she loved performing, singing, dancing, being on stage. It came naturally to her. Her talent was clear early on, and her family supported her dreams. As a child, she appeared on television shows like The Mickey Mouse Club. Even then, something about her stood out. Confidence, energy, presence. But no one could have predicted what would happen next. In the late 1990s, everything changed. Her debut single exploded across the world. Baby One More Time was not just a hit, it was a cultural moment. Within months, Britney Spears became one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. Her albums broke records, her tours sold out, her image was everywhere, but fame at that level comes with a cost. Every move she made became public, every relationship became a headline, every mistake became global news, and slowly the pressure began to build. The mid-2000s became one of the most difficult periods of her life. Personal struggles became public conversations. The media focused more on her challenges than her achievements. Then, in 2008, something happened that would change everything. A legal conservatorship was put in place. From that moment, major parts of her life were no longer fully in her control. Decisions about her career, her finances, her daily life, all managed by others. Think about that for a second. One of the biggest pop stars in the world, but unable to make some of her own decisions. And yet the most surprising part had not happened yet, because despite all of this, she kept working. She released music. She performed on stage. She appeared in shows and tours. From the outside, everything looked normal, but behind the scenes, it was very different. For years, this continued, and then something started to change. Began asking questions. People started paying closer attention. The conversation grew. What was really happening? That question slowly turned into a global discussion. And here's where the story shifts. Because strength does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like endurance. For 13 years, Britney Spears lived under that system. 13 years. Most people would break under that kind of pressure. But she didn't. And then came the turning point. In 2021, after years of legal effort and growing public awareness, the conservatorship came to an end. Just like that, control returned. But this was not just a legal moment. It was personal. It was the moment she took her life back. Sometimes the strongest answer to control is not resistance. It is persistence. After regaining control, Britney did not rush to prove anything to the world. Instead, she did something more powerful. She started living on her own terms. She began sharing her voice more openly. She reconnected with herself. She stepped into a new chapter. And slowly the narrative changed. People no longer saw just the headlines. They saw the human story behind them. A woman who had faced pressure, loss of control, and years of limitation. And still found a way forward. That is what makes this story powerful. It is not just about fame. It is about identity. Because when control is taken away, the biggest question becomes simple. Who are you when you finally get it back? For Britney Spears, the answer was not found in the past. It was built in the present. Step by step, choice by choice. And that leads to a truth most people understand. Life does not always go the way we expect. Sometimes it takes away control. Sometimes it forces us to start over. But starting over is not a weakness. It is strength. True identity is revealed when a person chooses to rebuild instead of retreat. Today, Britney Spears stands as more than a pop icon. She represents resilience. She represents endurance. She represents the power of taking your life back. And maybe that is why her story connects with so many people. Because at some level, Everyone understands what it means to want control over their own life. Everyone understands the need to be heard, to be free, to move forward. Success after adversity often speaks louder than any argument. In the end, this is not just a comeback story. It is a reminder, no matter how long the struggle lasts, no matter how difficult the journey becomes, a new chapter is always possible. And sometimes the most powerful comeback is not returning to who you were before. It is becoming someone stronger than you ever thought you could be.